All right. And it says we're live, so I'm going to assume that we are live. How's it going, gentlemen?
All right.
Just fine, for the most
Just
part.
fine? All right. So, top of the hour, I woke up this morning to my wife informing me that 1776 had again commenced. And good lord, what is that ringing in the background? Son of bitches, what the fuck?
I didn't do it.
Must have been mine.
Runner. Anyways, completely diverging from that. So today was the day in which Pence was supposed to save the Republic and instead cut to the establishment. And Trump held a rally, and I have no idea what he said in that rally. That disturbs me. But apparently, after Trump's speech was given, the crowd dispersed and they then commenced to attack Congress. And the invasion was successful.
Wait, they
And
successfully took Congress.
they successfully entered Congress. That is correct. There are screenshots of people of an individual, a based man, walking away with Nancy Pelosi's podium from Congress.
Yes, and a Viking dude that grabbed up the chair, that grabbed up one of the chairs.
Uh-huh. And he stood in Mike Pence's seat. Oh, oh, be still my heart. Be still my heart. The spirit of 1776 is once again upon us. And for those of you who thought 2020 was a shit show, 2021 is not going to disappoint. Oh my God. It was amazing. And I'll be honest, from the side of watching the mainstream and watching all of the reactions from the news and having they actually took calls from people who are like, yeah, I think that this is y'all's fault, that this is something that could have been prevented. um, you didn't investigate anything, and the news anchors had to sit quietly for once and actually listen to the concerns of the people. Now, one of
What?
my yes, the news actually listened to call-ins. They did cut off one caller who went off about the ending of communism. That was hilarious. They had to do that live. So yes, it's been a lovely day. And for those of you who are a little bit black pilled about the events that happened, I'm going to send you to the Plebeian Media, run by Don the Pleb, and he spends about an hour and a half telling his audience what happened to him during his own experience in DC today. And based on what he says, I am I'm optimistic. I'm not completely unblack pilled, but I am far more optimistic because what the establishment has shown us is that the left's tactics work. The left's tactics are the way to do things. The moral high ground does not exist, and that was basically the takeaway. Now, tragically, I do have to add this little note: an Air Force veteran was killed in that what was killed in that exchange and disavowed. Now,
Uh,
disavowed.
Actually, I
Um,
found some more information. Three others were killed also.
three. So we have four martyrs.
Yeah.
Awesome. That is tragic, and I hope that I hope that their families find comfort and solace in these times. Now, from what I understand, were all of them Trump supporters?
Uh, well, I'm looking at the female protester who was shot, and you can find it on the New York Post. I went to the Drudge Report to pull up the images, and yes, she is definitely for sure a Trump supporter.
And they did nothing wrong. Like, did they loot anything? Did they break anything? Did they set anything on fire?
From what I understand, for the female, no, she was actually inside the building, just off to the back on her own.
And
And
shot through the window.
I just watched the video. Yes, she was shot in the neck.
Yeah, and disavowed. I see that you're in chat. The link is in the Discord if you want to hop on through. Where we'd love to have you. I know your own channel's currently live right now, but since you're here, you may as well jump on, sir. But anyways, but yes, as Disavowed says, Mike Pence's chief of staff has been locked out of the White House as a result of Mike Pence's cuckery on this fine day.
I'm looking into that right now to see what the exact reason is.
I don't think Trump needs a fucking reason. He told President Trump that he would use his powers to put the election in order and to at least address or give us time to address the election fraud, and Pence turned coat on him. So fuck Pence. Fuck Pence. Fuck his chief of staff, because this is ridiculous. That this is here's my problem. I posted a meme about this, and it was simply an image of the screeching woman at Trump's inauguration and the Chad guy walking into the halls of Congress with the Confederate flag, and one just simply said the left, and the other said the right, and my friend comments on this, and I couldn't respond to him because I was immediately blocked from Facebook for, not going with the established narrative. And he says to me, I can't go with either side. This is wrong. And you know what? I understand that sentiment. I understand that people don't want violence. I understand that they don't want to look like the enemy. They don't want to look like the thing they're trying to destroy. Here's the difference, ladies and gentlemen. This was 100% preventable. With the left, there's no preventing it. If you scorn them, if you wrong them, if you tell them no, they will riot and they will kick and they will kick and they will scream. In this particular case, on the right, when in terms of election interference and accusations of fraud, there was remedies. All you had to do, dear establishment, dear courts, dear state legislatures, all you had to do was give the people proper and open, transparent investigations to see whether or not fraud took place. None of this wishy-washiness, we don't think this is fraud. Well, sons of bitches, if this was not signs of fraud, tell me what the fuck fraud looks like. If they had accepted the Texas case in the Supreme Court, these riots would not have happened. I promise you, hand to God, if the Supreme Court had accepted the Texas case, this would not have happened. That is not controversial. And anyone who thinks otherwise is deluding themselves. The right can be reasoned with. But when we realize that there's no reasoning with you remove our vote and you remove any due process whatsoever, this is what you deserve.
So I did find out about the White House chief of staff.
Please.
Apparently, she wasn't locked. The person wasn't locked out. So let me read this real quick. First Lady Melania Trump's chief of staff reportedly quit Wednesday in outrage over the riots at the U.S. Capitol. Stephanie Grisham, who previously served as chief White House spokeswoman, submitted her resignation effective immediately after violent riots broke out at the Capitol.
Oh, so she quit.
So the story goes, yes, unless there's another chief of staff that got locked out, but I'm searching for it and I'm not finding it. And this one is 4 hours old. And
Okay,
Congress rejects challenge to election results.
and Congress what?
Yeah, this is as of 3 hours ago.
So
Apparently,
they say that again, since you have the news in front of you.
yeah, I'm pulling it up right now. Congress rejects challenge to election results in Arizona. Trump social media accounts locked.
What?
Yeah, yeah. That's another problem that I have is that the president was banned off of Twitter for 12 hours for the crime of telling people to go home peacefully. Now, let me say that again. He was banned off of Twitter for telling his supporters to go home peacefully. Now, also included in that message was the fact that the election was rigged and stolen from him, which I'm sorry, but in light of all that has been revealed about Dominion, seems to be not an inaccurate statement or an unreasonable concern, to say the least.
Oh,
So,
there is a lot of news going on today about this. So the protests didn't just happen at the Capitol buildings. I've got a list of them right here, right now. Listen to this, Jazz. This is nuts.
uh-huh.
Lawmakers vowed to investigate police after Capitol breach. House joins the Senate in rejecting the challenge to Biden's election win in Arizona. DC police. 4 people died as Trump supporters occupied Capitol. 1 woman shot by police. 3 in medical emergencies. Facebook, Instagram joined Twitter in blocking Trump from posting following the storming of the U.S. Capitol by his supporters. GOP senators Loeffler, Daines, Braun, Schiff say they won't object to Biden electors after pro-Trump attack on Capitol. Congress reconvenes to work towards certifying election results after day of chaos and insurrection at U.S. Capitol. Stephanie Grisham, First Lady's Chief of Staff, former White House press secretary, resigns after violent protests. National Guard arrives at Capitol as curfew goes into effect. A mob broke through a gate at Washington Governor's Jay Inslee's mansion. World leaders deplored pro-Trump extremists breaching U.S. Capitol.
Oh, get
Ilhan,
fucked.
hang on, it gets better. Ilhan Omar says she is drafting new articles of impeachment against Trump.
Huh?
Oh, wow.
AP source: woman who was shot inside U.S. Capitol during violent pro-Trump protests has died. No shit, she got shot in the neck. Twitter
Yeah.
restricts the reach of Trump's video message, citing a risk of violence. Officials declared Capitol secure nearly 4 hours after violent pro Trump occupiers disrupted electoral count and they found explosives. PBS
Oh,
reports
really?
yeah, and a truck full of ammunition and weapons. PBS
Uh-huh.
reports National Association of Manufacturers calls on Vice President Pence to invoke 25th Amendment to remove Trump from office to preserve democracy. DC police chief says protesters deployed chemical irritants on police to gain access to U.S. Capitol. At least one
Oh my
explosive,
gosh.
at least
Okay.
one explosive
Okay.
device. Yeah,
Okay.
this is
Let
a
let let let,
fucking.
let me let me stop you right there because this is actually covered in Don the Pleb stream. Go and listen to John. After you're done listening to this, go over to Don the Pleb on Plebeian Media, and you will hear about how the police tear gassed themselves on numerous occasions trying to get at the Trump protesters because they didn't account for the wind.
Oh
Like,
yeah, dude, that shit's a bitch. I had to use pepper spray a couple times. The best one to use is the stream. Now, if you got the mist, then it's a problem. You really got to factor in wind because then you get like a face full of Satan jizz.
yeah, but no, they were legit spraying themselves most of that day. So the idea that Trump supporters deployed chemical weapons on the police is utter bullshit.
But this gets
Um,
even stupider. Listen to this, Jazz. U.S. Representative Earl Blumenauer, Earl Fucknuts, Democrat of Portland, this is clearly an act of domestic terrorism. U.S. Representative Herrera Fucktardery, Republican, Southwest Washington, via Facebook, Capitol Police reported to her that they had found and detonated 4 bombs just off the Capitol campus. Is this the American we want to give our children? A country of lawlessness and mob rule. Well, you dumb cocksucker. You should have fucking thought of that for the last year.
And that is exactly what you should be taking away. The left's tactics work. And the fact is that the right is finally saying, we've had enough of being ignored. We've had enough of you telling us that we have no recourse in government, that we have no recourse in our system, in our 3 branches of government. All 3 are apparently cucked and corrupt to the point that they are either unable to act or it is against their own interest to support the people and what the people want. All they had to do was pick up the Texas case and say, yes, we will hear the evidence and we will have it be broadcasted to the people. That was it. That's all they had to do. And this would not have fucking happened. It wouldn't have happened. There would have been no need for it. There would have been the due process that was denied to the people to ratify and secure their vote. And because they failed, because they did not want to, look into the abyss of, oh my God, maybe our system was compromised, the people have woken up and say, well, now you pay the price. This is the price of democracy not fulfilling its promises. That's what this is. And what else were they supposed to do? What other course of action was there? What, just listen and believe the media and the secret, shall we say, the secret accounts of people saying, look, our elections are secure. No one believes you. Like, Rudy Giuliani took his affidavits and brought them public. We know there's evidence. Sidney Powell came forward with cybersecurity technicians, people with PhDs who have been in the field for literally decades, saying, yeah, these machines were easily compromised. We watched in live time this last Georgia election, just last night, these Dominion machines being attached to the internet, accessible to the internet, and then having the results on these machines altered via the internet just the night before. And you're telling us that we just have to accept this because reasons. Well, when you give us that bullshit, this is what happens. And I don't know what else they were supposed to do. And so now we have this, and you know what? Go on Parler and look up all of the posts about this girl who was a veteran who was shot through the neck by DC police. The right is finally galvanizing around its martyrs. We are no longer saying, oh, this person was evil, this person was unjust. No. This woman was a veteran, she was a hero, and she died peacefully protesting. And I challenge anyone to question. There is no video of this woman doing anything. There was no property damage, there was no arson, there was no assaulting of any person. She was literally just standing in a building, which she paid for, by the way. So, continue on with the string of bullshit, if you don't mind.
Oh, I closed out of it. It's too fucking stupid. I'm actually leaving a message on the Baltimore CBSLocal.com because a bunch of people are talking a lot of nonsense on their comments page, and a lot of it's very left-leaning stuff, except for this King Julian dude. He put this is a nice little jab here. How do you know that it is Trump supporters? Never did you say that the rioters in Portland, Seattle, and others were Biden supporters. And then somebody with the news came in and said, because they are waving Trump flags, what a stupid comment. King Julian just said, thanks, my friend.
Wow. I mean, I'm glad it was. Go listen to Plebeian Media stream, catch up stream. It's titled "What Just Happened" or something to that effect. It basically says, look, if we're not in civil war, we will be in civil war territory very quickly, because this is just the beginning. Like this is
Yeah.
not the end. I just need to put this out there. This is not the end of the MAGA movement.
So
This is the
4 people
radicalized.
dead, 4 people dead, at least 52 arrested.
Yes.
Fuck.
52 arrested.
Yeah, 52 arrested. So they're looking at 10 years now.
Yeah, you know what? You know what I also heard is after they went after the Capitol, the right wing started attacking news vans, which I'm just going to straight up applaud. Like that is the right move. Fuck the media. Like, they are not your friend. They are your enemy. And if you see them, feel free to treat them like the enemy that they are. I mean, the media is not your friend here. And they don't deserve to be given to have their say when they're going to openly lie about you and villainize you. I mean, oh, it just bothers me, and it emboldens me to say that the right finally does not care. The right finally has not only organized, but it has completely thrown away all pretense of say whatever you want. We're going to take and do what we need to do. And I'm just going to throw this out there. There are many people out there who are watching this going, man, I was pro-Trump. All these people are saying all these negative things. They're saying that my friends are saying that they can't reconcile this violence, that we're becoming the enemy. Look, go over to any Mitt Romney post in the last in the last week, and you are going to see the fact that there are more people on your side there are them.
You're
There
starting
are
to cut out a little
most.
bit.
I'm sorry. Let me speak a little slower. Is that better?
Yeah.
Okay. As I was saying, go to any Mitt Romney post for the last week, and you will see the amount of people who are on your side rather than on theirs. The amount of cucked Republicans is dwindling down to nothing. The Never Trump movement, the Never MAGA movement, is on its last breaths, and the only reason that it's being kept alive is because the media has the megaphone, but they don't have the power. And they're starting to realize, holy shit, these people might know they're not alone. And that's the big takeaway of this is, look, Trump supporters were the ones who broke through the barricades. Trump supporters were the one who got through police. And after the Trump supporters broke through these barricades and the police, then Antifa went in claiming, oh yeah, we did this. No, it was all Trump supporters. And the only reason that the Trump supporters stopped was because pointed at them were armed police officers, ARs, and M16s. Now, what that tells me is if we had that same size, that same kind of enthusiasm, and they were armed, the MAGA people would have had that building and they'd still have it. Now, I'm not saying that that's justified. I'm not saying that that's ideal, but that is reality as of this point in time. You know, we are at a point to where instead of us seeing the left, look, you have to imagine the left tried to firebomb a courthouse for months and continually failed. In one day, in 1 hour, the right stormed Congress.
And what they get, a couple of fucking streets renamed? Oh, they can go fuck themselves.
Yeah.
I mean, really think about that. Antifa never got into the courthouse in over a month, and they tried to firebomb the bitch. It took conservatives 1 hour to get into Congress and infiltrate it. What does that tell you?
Oh, gallows erected outside U.S. Capitol.
What it means is the establishment has been put on notice, and we will likely have a Biden-Kamala presidency. And they are most likely going to try and take our guns. We are most likely going to, I think you said this before stream, we might have the Patriot Act on steroids. And my message to everyone within all the one of you watching this, and hopefully those who will watch this in the future, tell them no. Tell them fuck no. You can tell them no now. It has been abundantly clear that you have the power through force alone to tell them no. And the fact that this has been so demonstrably true as of today must make the left shit themselves. And they should be shitting themselves, because I'm seeing at least 4 years of this. At least. So, I'm actually going to cut over to our other guest, Runner, who's from Australia, just to get the international take on this, on these American developments.
This is the first time I'm hearing this. I'm like, fucking Christ. The left really fucked up this time.
Well, here's almost the paradox. They fucked up big time, yet at the same time, they have the House. They're about to get the Senate because of shenanigans in Georgia. Trump is on the way out, and Kamala and Pence are on the way in. So they have all three branches of government, except for, the Supreme Court. And the courts with Trump as packed with allegedly constitutionalists, which also unironically dismissed all of his election fraud cases. So what is the Supreme Court worth at this point? So they have the legislature, they have the executive, and fuck the courts. They have pretty much all the power they could have ever dreamed. And for what? What are they inheriting right now? And yes, they have royally fucked. Yet there's this political paradox of them holding all the cards. Where do we go from here?
Well, there's only one way down.
Yep, pretty much.
Shit. So I'm looking at pictures of the trail of awesomeness that the protesters left behind them. There is fucking pictures of blood everywhere.
Ooh.
People jumping in and out of fucking windows. People chilling in Pelosi's fucking office in her damn chair. People running around with the colonial flag with the red, white, and blue, but the circular stars.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
A lot of upside down American flags.
Yep.
I'm seeing these police gas mask riot gear on, trying to tear gas the fuck out of people. Not being very successful.
Nope. And can I ask a question? How many of the Trump supporters are have their faces obscured or masked up? Like, is that a common feature, or are people plain faced?
There's a little bit of both. So I'm seeing a lot of the Kung Flu masks, and I'm seeing a lot of people not wearing any. It's kind of half and half, honestly. Oh shit, some shit's going down in my neck of the woods. Holy crap.
Dare I ask your neck of the woods?
Kansas.
Holy shit.
Protesters
Okay.
dispersed from inside Kansas State House.
Wow.
In Topeka.
Okay. Well, now
Wow. Maybe
Kansas is in play.
maybe Kansans aren't as apathetic as I thought.
Maybe. I mean, there's a ray of hope for there, you spicy.
Yeah, no kidding.
I mean, it's. I'm. This is terrible. It's going to a dark place. I'm still excited to see where this goes. I am still hella excited to see where the hell. Well, at least today turned the left into pro-constitutionalist and pro-police. Oof. Big oof. Oh my God. That's yeah, that's almost too on the nose, disavowed. That's almost too on the nose. Now I cut over to Yiz's stream on the Zulu Discord, and apparently they're trying to pretend that all of these elections were the most secure in our nation's history. According to what? Like, here's my problem. This was preventable. This was 100% preventable. All you had to do was show Americans the evidence of election interference, election fraud, and just have it all out in the open and then decide, okay, where do we go from here? They decided to not give Americans who voted their peace of mind, and this is what happens. I just need to keep saying that to make sure that it sinks in. This was preventable. So, any other takeaways from this day of havoc and mayhem?
Maybe. Give me a minute. I'm just checking to see if this guy is who I think he is, and if he is, I'm going to be motherfucker. It's Mad Dog.
Yep, Mad Dog.
Mad Dog.
Basically, yep, condemning Trump, right?
Mad Dog Mattis says assault on Capitol was fomented by Mr. Trump, and he is truly a man without a country.
Hard disagree. He's a man with the country, and I'll be honest. I think the country will go with Trump after he leaves office. I think that as soon as Trump leaves office or makes an account on Parler or an account on Gab, I am fairly certain the country will go with Trump. I am fairly certain that the country and this movement that Trump has started isn't going to die. And I think it's going to become more intense. I think it's going to become more accelerated. Now, hang on.
Okay.
Let me take a look at this.
I have another tidbit here. So, as chaos ripped through Washington, D.C. on Wednesday afternoon, President Trump quietly slipped into his motorcade to be whisked back to the White House, despite having told his protesters that he was going to walk with them to the Capitol building. Yeah, but Secret Service says no.
Oh.
Yeah. I can't judge him for that one. I really can't. If the Secret Service says no, Mr. Trump, we are not going to the Capitol building, that's something that I'm going to have to support. And from Disavowed, we have Trump Flynn 2024. I'm not sure Trump should run again. I really I'm not sure we're going to have a next election. I'm just spitballing here. I don't see unless this division between the right and between the right and the establishment, unless this rift is resolved, unless there is by some miracle a resolution between election fraud and the right, I don't know how we could have another election. I mean, how
it doesn't matter. The courts refuse to take the case. They refuse to look into it because honestly, it's a big fucking deal. But
Yeah.
they refuse to do their damn job. And this election, no ifs, ands, or buts, was fucking stolen. There will be no free and fair elections anymore. At this point in time, there is no indicator that there will be ever again. Now the swamp is as thick as it's ever been, and I Mayan pyramid intensifies.
Well, I mean, at this point, the only solution to restore America to normalcy seems to be martial law.
And boy, will that just send everything spiraling towards a boom.
Well, I mean, depending on who's amending the martial law, if Trump decides to ball up and cross the Rubicon and get shit done and have military tribunals, that's really the only way through that I see, and that's the quickest, most efficient way of ending all of these questions and resolving them with some resemblance of, even if there was an independent and open investigation into voter fraud and nothing came of it. If Trump was wrong and lied this whole time to his own detriment, if he sincerely believed it and still went this extreme, I could forgive it, to be completely honest.
Yeah.
But in order for us to get there, it's going to require some form of martial law to say, we are putting a freeze on this nonsense. We're going to get to the bottom of it, and we're going to set the record straight. Now, the problem is, if that doesn't happen, it's just going to be a slow burn into complete dissolution and chaos.
Yeah. Oh, wow, this is an interesting one. So, QAnon supporter from Arizona dressed in fur and horns joins storming of U.S. Capitol. Looking at this guy, no, this dude's not just fur and horns. This dude's a Viking.
Well, I've actually heard that he's Antifa. Like, they've caught him outside of BLM protests.
Nah, I think this dude's a Viking. He wants to die a warrior's death. He's got tattoos on him. I see Thor's hammer. I see Yggdrasil. I see God, I forget what it's called. The triple triangles. It's like
Isn't that like Odin's knot or something?
Yeah. I forget what it's called, but I think that's what it is.
Come again, you broke up, Runner.
You're saying he's a neo-pagan?
Pretty much.
This dude's a neo-pagan for sure. The Vikings are getting in on this, and the guys that are around him definitely getting Viking vibes from them too.
Well, here's the thing: is there are pictures that pretty much match their descriptions at like Colorado Black Lives Matter protests, which is pretty which is pretty spicy. All right, and we have Mandatory on with us. How's it going, sir?
That's better.
Mandatory.
I forgot to adjust for time zone differences.
He's not muted.
No,
I can hear him.
I can hear him.
Hang on. Yeah, go ahead, Mandatory.
I forgot to adjust for time zones.
Oh, yeah, that happens to me all the time.
Yes.
I can't complain. I can't complain.
Bring me back up to speed.
Well, where the fuck do we begin? It appears as if the boog is off.
Oh?
Yeah. There was. Did you not hear that it's 1776 now?
Wait, is it off or not?
No,
It's on. We're booging.
yeah.
Okay.
It's
Yes, I did hear about what happened today.
So, what are your takes on it, sir? Since you just joined the stream.
I think civil wars are always ugly and nasty, and this will be the worst one you've ever heard of.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Pretty
No,
much
I
agreed.
take that back. I take that back. Bosnia was worse, but that's because of the ethnic cleansing.
Well, yeah.
We're going to get that something like that here, but it won't be over ethnic boundaries. It'll be over ideology. A genocide's a genocide, any which way you slice it.
Well, I mean, let's be honest. The way that things have been escalating, it's either gulags for me and not for thee, for either side at this point. The left has pretty much decided that if they get in power, the rest of us are fucked anyway. So it's either return in kind or beg for mercy.
You guys realize this is going to be primarily a bombing and mass shooting war, right?
Yep.
Yep. Yeah. Yes, I do. And I'll be very, very blunt. I'm going to put this in favor of the right. Because let's be honest, and I've mentioned this just before you jumped on. It took the left over a month to try and firebomb a city hall or a courthouse in Portland. It took the right less than an hour to infiltrate Congress.
Oh
And-
shit! I got an email from a friend of mine. Apparently, there's a bunch of militias in Georgia that are mobilizing.
Holy shit!
Oh yeah.
And those are not left-wing militias, mind you, people.
Yeah.
The left does not have militias. I don't care how many pink pistols you see on the Vox feed or on whatever leftist forum there is. Those are right-wing militias.
I know they're kind of a joke, but NFAC is a left-wing militia.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, but how many of those are there compared to the rest of the militias in other states?
Not very.
Yeah, not very. And it's not just in terms of organized militias. These militias are obviously activating, and they're going to start recruiting. And the right-wing militias are going to have a far easier time picking up unaffiliated gun owners than the left-wing militias. So that's.
Oh man, I just watched. I'm on Twitter right now. There's a Steve Schmidt, and he's got a video posted that's coming from TikTok, but it looks like the police are let the protesters in.
Oh yeah, that's a long-standing theory that the police let the left protesters in, and that after the right had broken through the barricades and had guns pointed at them, and they dispersed. But no, but we are at the point to where the right has said, okay, we're going to take on the leftist tactics, and you're going to lose. After they reached the Congress, after they broke into Congress, they started attacking media vans, which I'm not going to blame them for, because the right knows the media is not their friend. And unfortunately, Antifa has the same mentality for reasons I personally don't understand. Because, when it's the left, when it's Antifa, they're peaceful protesters. When it's the right, oh my God, domestic terrorism. Despite the fact that
way for years.
Yeah, despite the fact that when the right protests, there's no property damage, nothing gets set on fire. It's mainly the right who gets injured, as per the four people dead. The one I believe it is still Air Force veteran who was shot and killed after she was shot in the neck. So
Through a
yeah,
door.
this is yes through a door.
Yeah, it was a blind
So
shot. She got exceedingly unlucky.
yeah, so
Yeah, okay.
so there we have it. We have militias activating in Georgia, where they recently had another sketchy election with fraudulent elements, we shall call them, for their senators, and those militias are activating in Georgia. That should raise serious concerns for the establishment. And I hope that the establishment in Georgia gets sick and die. Uh, I, I got nothing.
A
I
little
don't.
harsh, but
No, I hope they get horribly sick and die. I mean, at this point, if you're establishment, you're pretty much fair game, and that's a sad thing to say, but I mean, all you had to do, this was 100% preventable. All you had to do was investigate Trump's claims of election fraud and irregularities. That's all you had to do. All the
yeah,
Supreme Court had to do was take the Texas case. This would not have happened.
yeah, that's true.
And if they had done this, there would not be riots. There wouldn't be this upheaval. But people feel
No,
like
that's
their
not true.
vote. Hang
Don't
on.
rig the election to begin with. That would have stopped this at the outset.
Oh, come on! I can't ask Democrats not to Democrat. Let's
You
be
can ask.
let's be realistic. I mean, I would much prefer that. Let's be completely honest. I would have much preferred for the Democrats to cheat, get caught, get arrested, go to jail, be frog marched into Gitmo, and never seen again. That would have sent a fantastic message if that were actually allowed to have happened.
Yep.
But unfortunately, we live in society where apparently they want to say, oh, there's no evidence of voter fraud. Well, if there's no evidence for voter fraud, please tell me what evidence for voter fraud fucking looks like, because apparently none of us knows what to look for, including the fucking Guardian, who, by the way, if you look at the Trump election and the Georgia election, tick 5 out of the 6 boxes that the Guardian lists for indications of election fraud.
Yeah.
It's fucking disgusting that they want to still push this narrative that this was a safe and secure election. Get absolutely fucked. And the fact that they want to say, oh, this is circumstantial evidence. Well, I'm sorry, but we live in a justice system where you can be convicted of murder on witness testimony and circumstantial evidence. We have both in terms of this election fraud and irregularities. We have both of those, and they refused to give us answers. They refused to give us public answers. Instead, what they did with the courts is Giuliani presented his evidence, and the court says this doesn't meet muster. Well, okay, if this doesn't meet muster, please, for the love of God, tell us what does. What meets muster in trying to prove election fraud? And that's why they've been doing it for years and years and years, is because no one wants to pick up the buck. And that's why we're here. That's why we're here. So you get what you deserve in this particular case, and I'm not sorry one way or the other. This is something that needed to happen. Unfortunately, it could very well mean the end of the republic.
No, it'll survive that in the end, but it's going to be
A very different
very ugly.
republic.
No, it'll be the same republic. Be very, very different people running it.
There'll be less people in it.
There'll be a lot less.
So, how do I put this? The terrorism trends to watch for in 2021, Department of Homeland Security has updated it. They're looking for conspiracy theory extremism. They're looking at violence against faith-based institutions, domestic extremism, like the last fucking year,
Yeah. Good
complex
Lord.
coordinated attacks, the last fucking year.
Uh-huh.
ISIS and Al Qaeda are moving forward into the U.S.
Yeah, about that.
Yeah.
And let's see here. ISIS is in India.
So basically, anyone who thinks there might have been an election fraud.
No, since that's a conspiracy theory at this point,
Yeah.
even though it's really conspiracy fact, yes, we are part of it, and it gets better. So it's the big one is the biggest threat to humanity's survival in 2021: chemtrails, 5G, COVID vaccination equals extermination event is considered conspiracy theory extremism, especially if it's something QAnon talks about.
Now, here's my big problem.
Chemtrails.
Yes, chemtrails.
It's still
Chemtrails
on the
conspiracy.
They're still looking for chemtrail people.
Yeah.
That is pure 90s shit
It's
post.
cringe right now. It's cringe right now. Okay, here's my response to that list. Good luck. Now, if there's one thing, if there's one thing that the honest to God hardcore right has learned, and that they're relatively good at, is keeping their mouths shut. And now the only exception to that are people like me who are broadcasting our opinions because we need the other people to not think that they're alone. That's pretty much the only that's pretty much the only reason why I do what I do, is to make people sure that they know that they're not alone. But I know other people who think the way that I think, who mums the fucking word. They do not say shit online. They won't even talk about this shit on a payphone. You will meet them out in the middle of the desert. They will scan you for any electronic devices. They will be removed, and then you talk. So, I mean, the idea that the FBI and Homeland Security is going to be able to find these quote unquote conspiracy people on the right, I don't see it happening. I do not. I think they are woefully ill-equipped to handle the storm that is a brewing and a coming. Because this is just the beginning, folks. This isn't ending. This is not the end. We have a disgruntled, disenfranchised, radicalized right who are about to inherit a Joe Biden presidency who has declared a mask mandate and a gun confiscation when he enters office. Good fucking luck.
Good luck with those two as well.
Seriously, we have just learned that we can actually shut down the Capitol and tell you no in an hour without being.
If only.
Unfortunately, we're not able to keep it closed yet.
Well,
no. Here's the thing: we did that without each individual being armed.
yeah, nobody there was armed.
Yeah, none of the right-wing protesters were armed. None
They
of
just
them
marched into the building.
Exactly.
I'm hearing that there were right-wingers that were armed. I'm looking at all these fucking pictures. I haven't seen one right-wing individual with a firearm. I'm seeing a lot of sticks. I'm seeing a lot of poles, but I'm not seeing any fucking guns.
Nope.
The most heavily armed person there had pot. was smoking pot on camera. I'm not even joking.
Wow. So the media is going to claim that the right was armed and that they found a van full of explosives and ammunition. But it's a load of shit. We all know that's not true. But if the right were to actually have come armed and, intending to do damage, we would have leveled that building.
Pretty
That's
close.
no joke. That's no joke. That's not a threat. It's not a promote. It's not an incitement. It's a fact. If we wanted to, if that was our complete agenda, it would have been fucking done. What are they going to do if they try to come down with an asterisk presidency that is Joe Biden and then try to deliver something like gun control? Bitches, we'll show you our guns, but you ain't taking them.
We have all the control that we need right in our fingers.
Pretty much. And so where do we go from here? Either the government says we're going to assert force upon you because you refuse to give up your guns, or the Americans say, hey, that's the exact reason we have these sons of bitches. Let's go.
See, Boris Johnson can go suck a fatty too.
Yeah.
Now, there's a lot of shithole countries saying that it's a dark day for America. Man, go fuck yourself. We're still better than the rest of you.
I'm sorry, but and I'm sorry that Milo said it best. You can say whatever you want about today, but this is literally the most American thing we've ever done since 1776.
Pretty close.
I'm at the point now where I'm definitely agreeing with disavow, defund the fucking police, especially if they're not obeying their oaths.
Yeah, I mean, if you're not defending the people, you're
What
just
are
in
you
their way.
defending?
Exactly. And if they're going to be the ones letting Antifa into the building while arresting 52 Trump supporters for, peacefully protesting as per the left standard of peaceful protest, I'm sorry, you are the problem and you're just in the way. You are just another body at this point because you've declared war on the entire right wing of America.
They pick sides. And that's dangerous.
Yeah.
I'm looking for Antifa here, and I'm not seeing any Antifa other than maybe shit. I can't even say that. You'd think one of these idiots would bring one of their own fucking flags. I'm not seeing nothing that would
I'll
be
be
an
right back.
indicator of it.
All right.
They were talking about being out of uniform. They were
That would make
specifically
sense.
talking. Yeah.
But
So,
because Antifa agrees with us on that, agrees with the people on this one, the government has lost its fucking mind and is out of control now.
So that's where we're at with the police, and I'm just interested if this Joe Biden presidency takes hold and goes through. Again, where is this gonna go? and I'm sorry, but Joe, no one's buying the whole unity spiel. Every time I see Joe Biden, it's we need to be united. We need to come forward for democracy. We need to feel good. We need to, honor the sanctity of this process.
Where was your unity 4 years ago, Joe?
Yeah. Well, I mean, seriously. And I'm just listening and going, who is buying this garbage? And again, for all of those people who are listening to this and think, yeah, all of my friends are telling me that I'm crazy, go to any post done by Mitt Romney in the last week and read the comments on Facebook. There are more people with you than there are with the cuck right. The conservatives have been completely marginalized and forced to say,
sorry.
Bless you.
That came out of left field. I was not expecting that one. Holy crap.
Anyways, the conservatives who have essentially said, we're comfortable with letting Joe Biden win, are being completely blown out of the water. We outnumber them at least 5-1, and it's I don't know how else to say this. This is the time for the right to really galvanize and really take charge of what they want this country to look like by the most violent means possible.
Whoa, hold up. The most violent means possible. I can think of some pretty violent means.
Uh-huh.
Maybe you want to bring it down off the plane a little bit.
We got to be efficient with it the most quick and expedient way possible.
Well, probably. I would say efficiency is most definitely a factor, but then again, I would assume that as, I'm talking about, the right wing, because the right wing doesn't mince words. They don't waste energy. They don't waste time. And again, go watch Don the Pleb's video about what happened earlier yesterday, and listen to his side of what happened. It was a glorious day for the right. They actually asserted themselves. They actually said, "We've had enough. We're going to take charge, and there's nothing you can do about it."
There wasn't could do about it.
We're all going to pay for it anyways.
But you don't want daily Oklahoma cities.
This is true. No, you do not.
Well, Disavowed's coming and he says, "Don't become monsters." And you know what? I take issue with that mentality. I understand the sentiment. I truly do. Here's the thing, though. The right understands what they're fighting for. They know when to stop. They know when to finally say, "Okay, this is enough. We will let nature take its course." Christians have that ethic in them where the left does not. I am sick of the right second guessing themselves in terms of who they are and what they stand for.
Or being told what they are and what they stand for.
Exactly. This "don't become monsters" narrative is pseudo cuckery, and I really have no patience for it. It's not. We know who we are. We know what we stand for, and the right knows when to stop. They truly do. The right knows when to establish order and when to let the vacuum collapse and to let nature take its course. It's the left who constantly has to push and push and push and push. The right doesn't do this. The right knows what it wants. And we know that we want liberty. We know that we want justice. We know that we want all of the things that would establish a good and healthy society. We're not telling people what their good is. We're just saying we need a level playing field on which people can live and prosper. That's what the right continually fights for. So this notion of "don't become monsters" when you have to do the hard things.
Who is that?
It was spicy. I had to mute him. So no, this "don't become monsters." I'm not afraid of the right becoming monsters. And the reason I'm not afraid of the right becoming monsters is because nearly every right-wing person that I know who was who was marching, who was at this protest, is rabidly anti-Nazi. They're rabidly anti-communist. They're rabidly anti-authoritarianism. They are rabidly all of negative. They're anti all of the bad things. They are just sick of being told, A, that they're monsters, and B, that we can't have a just and fair system. I'm sorry. I know that was a rant, but
yeah,
again,
you're good. You're good. That was awesome. Give you a heads up. I'm gonna hop off because my phone's about to go dead. Y'all have a good one. Stay safe.
All right. Have a good one, Spicy.
Will do.
So,
Oklahoma City.
Yeah, Oklahoma City. I mean,
yeah.
Let me address the Timothy Timothy McVeigh question. there might very likely be events like Oklahoma City. And I'm not saying that it's good, and I'm not saying that it's noble. However, um, where do you draw the line? I mean, I'm not saying that innocent people should die. That's not ideal, and it's certainly not right wing. However, when it comes to
Really?
uh, what?
Keep going. Keep
Well, what
going.
I'm saying is, when it comes to buildings like, say, um, not the AT&T building, because that was kind of an anomaly. But when I'm talking about things like say Universal Studios, say things uh, like news stations, the right taking over and manning, essentially the how would you say, the hardware institutions of the cathedral, whether it be news stations, whether it be town halls, whether it be state legislatures, state capitals. I wouldn't advocate for bombing, but there definitely needs to be a permanent show of force to say that the will of the people will no longer be denied. And I don't know where that stops. That's the only thing that scares me about it is what would be the intended goal of each location. And um, maybe the answer is leveling it to the ground while getting everyone out first. I don't know. Um, but in terms of infrastructure, in terms of making sure that the will of the people is enforced and that that the establishment fears us once again, um, can we afford not to? Is my question. Can
Yeah,
we
fair point.
my point is can we afford to not destroy the things they've used to oppress us?
It's kind of a fair point.
And
Um,
uh, and
Karen, how old are you?
I just turned 33.
You'd have been a really young little one then. Uh, have you ever checked out the Battlefall? No, Babylon 5 series.
Very briefly. Um, Babylon 5. No, not really. It
Yeah, kind of shows a
so
little bit. Um, somewhere around season 2 or 3, there's a civil war, and the first thing that the government did when after the coup that became the civil war is they took over all the news stations.
yep,
Any reporters who would not toe the line were replaced. Most of them were jailed. No actual charges, just straight up jailed.
yep,
And the rest got to keep their jobs. Then the war was over. The the usurper was removed from power, mostly by his own hand. And
okay.
you know what I mean by that, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty certain I get the gist of it.
Um, yeah, he was removed from power. And they brought the reporters who had been jailed back, and they're talking about the things they saw when they were locked up. Uh, coworkers threatened, tortured, beaten. The only difference here and then between the fictional universe and the real universe is those reporters were removed before the war started.
Yeah. Um.
And
Yo,
I'm taking a direct shot at CNN.
Yeah. Here's my problem with that is we're going at a pace and at a paradigm where there are going to be people in power throughout this entire process who have been against us the entire fucking time. And the problem that we have with the news media in general is the fact that since 2020, after they got the election wrong, after they after all of their polling and analysis has been proven wrong, even again in 2020, um, not a single head rolled, not a single lineup changed, not a single person was held to account for being wrong. And that to me is an inexcusable paradigm. And it's something that we, the people, should have picked up on earlier and been violently reactionary to long before this point. We should have been storming their building, storming their corporate headquarters. We should have been going to their stations and going, this is unacceptable, and they should have all been held to account. Unfortunately, now that we're at this point, um, it's going to be a little more dramatic. It's going to be a lot more dramatic,
Yeah, yeah.
and and that's why when I say addressing the Timothy McVeigh question is the right does need to make an example and show that they are at least willing to bring these institutions down to their knees by force. And I of course do not condone the loss of life from these actions. That's not ideal. Um, but there are certain college campuses, there are certain news stations, there are certain institutions of power that need to be brought to their knees. And they're not going to be brought to their knees by any um, political answer. There's no longer a political answer for these dilemmas. And that is not our fault. That's their fault. And we are simply reacting with all of the tools we have available to us. And we should do so without the fear of becoming the monsters because we know what we're fighting for. And are there any other thoughts on that question?
Yeah.
Go ahead, lay it into me.
The it's like this game. You start out. No, okay, no. You know, I was a troublemaker as a kid, right?
Oh,
No.
I would have never guessed.
Yeah, I was
Mm.
actually sent to the troublemaker school.
Again,
Oh,
my shock is being
imagine the shock.
imagined, and yeah.
Yeah, this this school, Live Oak, they actually had a rule. Um, no fighting. Well, okay, no play fighting. Why no play fighting? I mean, this is your old friend, right? Yeah, well, you take a swing and then he takes a swing back. And then you take a harder swing and he takes a harder swing back and so on. And then the next thing you know, there's blood in the air because it always escalates.
Yep.
Just look at the uh, Ireland. It just kept getting worse and worse and worse. Look at Iraq. It just kept getting worse and worse and worse. The places where it finally stopped, Somalia.
You see, I
Don't
don't
become the
think.
monster. I'm
Well,
I'm with disavowed here. We need to be very, very careful and make sure that we don't become what we were fighting once upon a time. I'm living proof of what happens then. Colonel, you know I used to be a gun control supporter, right?
Wait, really?
actually, I heard about that, but I have not heard the story. So, give me some background.
Uh, I'm going to make a very, very long story very, very short. I was proven wrong just proven wrong. And that led my brain down a path of how to respond, and that's how I got here. Um,
So, so basically, your brain accepted and accumulated new information.
yeah, well, yeah, new to me. Um, you become that which you most hate in the universe.
You see, I have trouble accepting that premise. I truly do. I truly have a problem accepting that premise because how do I put this? Um,
Carefully.
yes, very, very carefully. Is how do I how do you fight such something with such a it's an emotional appeal with almost no evidence, but you almost accept it as true. So I'm trying to really discern and cut away the dross and really get to the bottom of that sentiment. You always become that which you fight, or something to that effect. I I think that's true if you become unanchored in why you were fighting to begin with. And I don't think the right is becoming unanchored. Does that make sense? I
It
mean,
makes
I
sense if you believe it.
so what would make it, no, here's my question to you then.
Okay.
What makes what would make the right the monster? How would the right become the monsters that the left have shown themselves to be? What
Um,
would be the indications? What would
the
be the
escalation of
signs?
violence. The escalation. It's 6 months from now when there's been six mass shootings, and I'm going to say this, leftist mass shootings, and we start responding with our own mass shooting. You know what? Fuck you. You're going to blast up our people, we'll blast up yours. How about that? And that's
All right.
going to happen.
I'm about to get some resistance from the great Bebo himself. Take me to task, sir. Take me to task.
What's up, man?
How's it
Okay,
Hey,
going, Bebo?
people.
so what would
Hi.
you let me tell you, man, I grew up in Detroit, man. I've seen some I've never served in the military, but I've seen some pretty bad dudes, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, what would you say is a monster?
Let's start with Oklahoma City
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
Pulse nightclub.
Okay, here's the difference between a monster and see, I consider myself a tough guy, right? But I'm not a monster. You know what I'm saying? I'm a tough guy, but I'm not a monster. A monster will go into, let's say there was stick up boys in Detroit. They would rob drug dealers. You know what I'm saying?
Oh
That's
yeah.
all they did. They just
Well,
rob drug
hang on.
dealers.
This is also kind of the question. I like these discussions because for me, it's our tendency to try and equate power with immorality. And so to say what makes a monster is it's kind of the same question of what makes the military different than the terrorist, or what makes the sheepdog different than the wolf. You understand?
Yeah, it's a thin line.
It's an extremely
Very.
thin line, and I think that what makes the monster is the disregard of the consequences of their actions rather than the end goal. Um, because I see the right as sheepdogs being maligned as wolves, carte blanche. That is what the right has been maligned as. They've been maligned as ravenous wolves when they are in fact, the only thing protecting the sheep and the flock from total annihilation. And the fact is that the right uses their power to protect and promote the things that this nation and society values. And if the right were left to its own devices, there would be relative peace. Whereas opposed to the left, throughout the demonstrable history of leftist government and influence, it's just always a downward spiral of death, oppression, and more oppression. And so when we take that morality and that ethos and we try to attach power to it, we become really confused. So so the fact of not becoming the monster, I'm honestly not afraid of becoming the monster. I know what I am. I know what I'm fighting for.
Right, right. But once you get into the heat of the battle, man, I've seen people change, man, when they're in the moments, you know.
Well,
And
again, like, okay, I'm gonna say something that might be construed as completely terrible. I find
Shoot.
nothing I find nothing immoral about the sheepdog ripping the wolf's throat. I find nothing.
I agree. The tough guys are the ones that kill the monsters most of the time. You know what I'm saying? But even the mafia has a code. You get what I'm saying?
Well, and that's one of the primary points. And as Latter-day Saints, we believe in these things called secret combinations. I know I'm getting into theology again. Forgive me.
Yeah.
That's
But
fine.
listen, what makes a secret combination is they have an operation of murder plus personal gain. I don't see um, I don't see the right becoming murderous for their own personal gain. The right reasserts violence and force to create a vacuum to fill naturally. The monsters of this world are not, believe it or not, the rabid leftist Antifa themselves. The monsters are the people backing them. It's the people with the money to get them to circumvent justice, to get them out back on the street again. The real monsters are the people who are pulling the strings behind the scenes. And if the right decides we're going to cut the puppet strings, use whatever force is necessary to cut those strings. And the reason is because if we cut those strings, there's nothing that we personally gain from those actions.
Yeah, I understand that. And you know what my position is. You know what I would prefer. We've talked already. And I wish but I have no problem with what went on today. I'm not condemning
Not
the
much.
people,
No.
what happened today, as far as I'm concerned, was basically revenge. You know what I'm saying? For what they've been doing to us for 9 months,
Oh, 4
Uh,
years.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
for
know.
4 years. It's been 4 years, and it's been just desserts. As far as I'm concerned, it is exactly what they deserve.
But I'm still
And
suspicious because I can't believe that there wasn't a better prepared force. They got in fairly easy.
yeah, and
So
it's
that's a little suspicious to me, because let's be honest, if they tried to do that same thing to the White House, they would not have got even close.
that's true. That I think you are entirely correct. However, how do I put this? We're really at an interesting point, and I'm very hesitant to even engage the topic of don't become the monster, because the ethos of the right isn't to get personal gain from our actions. and I don't
Yeah,
know
but you
what
got
is.
to realize if this continues to escalate, there's going to be points where there's going to be what they call collateral damage, right? It's going to happen.
Yeah,
You know,
and I'm wondering sincerely whether or not collateral damage is an indication of the morality of the movement. Because let's face it, Antifa is vastly immoral. They have done unspeakably horrible things within their own communes, their own
Rapes.
and it yeah the rapes there were people have even
oh,
died in these
it was
places.
they started killing each other.
Yeah,
Yep.
and so it's so we have Antifa killing each other, raping one another, and then we have the right wondering if there's going to be some innocent caught in the blast to destroy
Well,
an institution of the cathedral. I mean, we're
but dude,
talking about
listen. We got to be very careful. Okay, 2 days ago there was 13 senators that were saying they were going to vote against it. Only 6 ended up. So 7 of them, same people, ended up changing their mind supposedly over what happened today. Right?
no, that's
I just
bullshit.
wait.
Don't believe that. That
I
that
just
should have.
watched Lindsey Graham. Just, dude, we're in some ways we're being gaslighted by our own people.
No, no. Bebo, I'm going to say this for the record. If Lindsey Graham used this peaceful protest, if Lindsey Graham used this peaceful protest as grounds to change his mind, he was always going to change his mind because
Well, that's my point.
this should have been a what would you call it, a watershed moment for the Republicans in Congress to say, you know what, we really should look into overturning these state results. Instead, they powered through it. The
Dude,
rig
they
is
were on the
in.
floor condemning it. They were on the floor condemning it, dude. Did you watch the revote when they restarted the vote?
Yeah, that's unacceptable. That should have been a sign that enough people are that is like someone that is like getting several calls to your office saying fix this shit and calling all of the people who have called your office, oh, they're just ignorant plebs, we shouldn't listen to them, this isn't real, this isn't a problem. You are literally ignoring the people coming with their redress. And for what? And the pretense of, oh, there are people rioting because we haven't given them the closure and the peace of mind that they need because the system has been rigged, to automatically take that as a sign of, oh, I need to switch sides. Fuck you, you were always going to switch sides. Fuck that shit.
But I'm still saying right now you had 6 senators only vote against certifying. 6.
Did
That's
Cruz
it.
still vote for it?
I think Cruz was one, yeah. But Paul didn't. He condemned it. Lindsey Graham flopped. Like, he gave a big old speech about this is enough. This is enough.
Well,
You know.
well, then, Lindsey Graham, we've had enough of you. And
Well,
I'm dead serious.
I'm saying right now, our side in government, we barely have anyone now. We even cut the supposed support like in half. I don't know how many in Congress ended up opposing it, but at one time I think Congress was up to 130 were going to oppose it, and I didn't see what their finished vote was. But in the Senate, it was up to 13 2 days ago. It ended up only having 6 oppose it.
Well, if there's objections from both houses that are signed, that's supposed to be enough to say, no, we don't proceed forward from here on.
Well, apparently, they have to debate and unanimously decide to throw the votes out.
Yeah, they did, and we lost.
Okay.
Well,
So, but even the first, who was the first senator that came out? Hollow? I never even heard of him before he came out in opposition. And dude, even his speech tonight on the floor, he was like middle ground, man. And he was the first one to come out saying he was going to oppose it. And I still think he voted to oppose it, but he was still, the one that lost in Georgia, what's her name? Loeffler, the blonde or something?
Who knows? She lost. I mean,
yeah.
Yeah.
But
What about her?
Yeah, but I'm saying though, even our own side, dude, we're a minority in the Republican Party as of right now.
no, we're a minority to elected officials, and they can be replaced.
I agree.
One way or another. They
but
can
then you're
be
talking
replaced.
about a civil war in the Republican Party too.
Yeah, and I'll be honest. I in the future, I see Trump as a future kingmaker of the Republican Party. He has solidified that power, if nothing else. I mean, I don't. What were they thinking? Taking a massive protest like that and turning it into a negative against their own people. Absolutely stupid and foolish. And that's why we should have never trusted these fools to begin with. They all need to go. Every single one.
They hurt they hurt their self. They did.
Yeah. That's not a people problem. That's an elector's problem. And I refuse to regard it as anything but that. That is I don't see Mitt Romney getting reelected, to be honest. I think that in the primary, if he has a challenger, the challenger should win it hands down, unless there's, election interference again, which brings us to the point of why should the right engage in good faith with our democratic process? We have no incentive to.
You can't be honest with somebody who's fundamentally dishonest.
Yeah, we have, you have reduced society to the absolute lowest common denominator. So is there any
honestly I think in 2 weeks it's going to be crazier when I'm hearing rumors that Biden's even considering not doing like an inauguration.
Interesting. Well,
because there's going to be clashes there, because then you're going to have both sides heavily present.
So, is there anything?
Do you mean like there was 4 years ago?
Guys, I'm really I'm gonna wrap this up.
Yeah, it's getting late
in a couple of minutes. So I have to do my job.
So, it was a pleasure though, but don't take what I'm saying as like, dude, I know what side I'm on. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying, Yeah.
So any last comments, guys, before we end the stream?
Don't be so excited for this. Careful what you wish for, because gonna get it.
Well, it's not a matter of a wish. Bloody. I don't think it's a matter of wishing. I think it's a matter of acknowledging where we're at. And
mandatory. How old are you?
44.
Yeah, see, we're a little older, so our testosterone's a little lower than these 30-year-olds.
No, I've served in the military. I've gone through 3 wars in the service.
Oh, you actually saw action though?
No, I joined the Coast Guard to go to war.
Yeah.
Yeah, to go to Bosnia. Unfortunately for me, that didn't exactly work out right, but I have plenty of nightmares without getting shot at.
Yeah, see, I've never seen it, but dude, I truly believe as you get older, sometimes you mellow out, a little. I feel the way Carnal does a lot, but then sometimes I'm like, wow, do we really want to do this? And like I said, I'm for the secession thing, so.
Well, it's not from my perspective. It's not a matter of what I want. It's where we're headed, and it's it's no longer about desire. It's about accepting reality and reacting appropriately and to our own benefit rather than detriment, because letting this republic limp along in its um, in its compromised state is not an acceptable alternative.
No,
So
I
very good
on
plan.
so
I
on
agree.
that note, gentlemen, I'm just going to bid you all stay carnal and God bless everyone.
God bless.
Mandatory, but
Yeah.
before we end, would you offer a prayer for the fallen and the afflicted?
Um, Lord, today was a rough day for all of us. There's one dead, and we don't know how many were injured. Stand by the families of those affected. Stand by our country because, God, you know how screwed we really are. Amen.
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 All right, and
All
on
right,
those
guys.
Wasn't
last
Good night.
notes,
expecting that.
as ever, stay carnal and God bless.